Hello, welcome to Get Connected with Michael Tasner and Julie Barkas. We're so excited to be here with you today, and we're really looking forward to providing you with some strategies to help you take your childcare business success to a whole new level. How you doing, Michael?
I am doing well, It's been a good week so far. Beautiful weather as usual in Buffalo, New York. Life is good. Life is good over here.
Yeah, and it feels like August has just really cooled down. Has it for you guys also?
Yeah, it's so I figured out why. So last week when we did our live, my camera kept shutting off and I had to turn to my webcam. So I figured out what the issue was. So I guess it was really hot in here. So I usually have a fan kind of on me to keep me cool. Even though I'm in a basement, so it's, cooler in general, but it was really hot last week. It was like, 95 out. So I guess the camera is overheating. So
you were testing your equipment last week.
Yeah. Yeah. So now I've got a fan on my camera.
So very cool. Yeah. So we shouldn't lose you at all.
Yeah, hopefully not. We shall see. Otherwise, I'll need a better fan.
Yeah. And I think last week was just a really great show where we talked about some of the trends that we were seeing. And we talked a lot about, I think, a mixture of staff motivation and marketing. So I think that was a really fantastic show.
Yeah, and we had some fun comments and a couple of centers that were saying they implemented. One of them was, and I forgot the exact name, but it was the pin. So kind of putting your
the
face
button
on
project.
the pin. Yeah, the button. So I saw a couple of centers that replied, so they loved the idea, and a couple of them posted pictures. So that was fun to see.
Yeah, I'll have to see if I saw anything new since we last spoke in terms of trends. And I know we were going to do a movie time, and we didn't get to that last week. So if we have movies, we could always do that this week.
Yeah, I think that would be a fun one to do.
Awesome. But if you're here tuning in, say hello to us. Leave us a comment. Let us know where you're tuning in from, whether you're tuning in live or to the replay. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to interact with you. And we are just here to serve you and help you accomplish some amazing things. And I know Michael has gotten amazing results with his clients, and so have I. So, we're here for you. And even if you missed the live show and you tune into the replay, you could always leave questions and we'll try to work them into a future show. Hey, Jessa, nice to see you here. Perfect. I love when I see faces I know. I feel like it's almost better than my family watching. I don't know if I want family.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to get
it. Fair family watching.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll get as much. Every now and then my wife will watch some of my stuff and she's like, I didn't like that you did this or that. I'm like, okay, well then just don't watch. Thanks.
Gosh. I remember years ago hearing when I was studying like the art of speaking, I remember hearing a speaker talk about how her and her husband would do debriefings after her speeches.
Oh, wow.
There was one speech that she gave where he had a lot of critical things to say. And she's like, you don't have to tell me right after the speech. You could wait like a week and then you could tell me all these things, but not when I'm so, close to what I just did.
Yeah, and I think, the common theme with all this is just to get started. I know there's always a lot of questions and even just about doing things like this of, okay, how do I go live and kind of update families? Communication is so important right now with your families. And as different states are kind of rolling out the plans for elementary schools and middle school and high school, I think that is going to dictate kind of the pivots or kind of how things are going to go for a lot of centers over the next 3 to 6 months. And either in a great way, or we're going to have to be a little bit more creative and kind of look outside the box.
And the creativity is there. The universe is an abundant place. So don't give up on your dream just because one model of it doesn't work or is no longer applicable. There's all different kinds of facets for you to project your dream into the world. So be open and be creative with it. And that's how you're going to really, I think, expand in your life. I think it's when we get too sold or too fixated on how the thing has to happen that we could get really disappointed or let down. But, just open up your creative world and say, okay, this is my passion. This is what I love. How many different ways can this come to life? And that's what I love thinking about because, I really see it as a changing, evolving picture too. I don't see it just because now this is the way it is. In a month, it might be totally different. For example, we just had the news story of the Georgia school who went back and now they're saying over 200 people are home quarantined because they got COVID. So, who knows? It's an evolving, growing world, but just know, the passion that's in your heart and know that you're going to bring it to life and it's going to really serve your life in a big way. And that's the beauty of the world that we live in, is that there's so many ways to make our dreams a reality.
Oh, and that's, I mean, I love that you're saying that. And I think there's a lot of center owners there. You're still kind of pigeonholing yourself a little bit of, trying to think of the word I'm looking for, like expectations. So like things have always been this way. Like we've always had a wait list. We've never had to do marketing, or even when families have disenrolled, they've always came back. And so it's definitely a great time to self-reflect, and to kind of realign yourself with your business, and to make sure that you're in it for the right reasons, and to make sure that you've got the passion still. And the reason that I'm suggesting that is because if you don't have that fire, it's going to be tough the next 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. I mean, I'm having, so we call them either discovery calls, intro calls, whatever phrase you like to use. And it's like a get to know you. And we call it kind of, see if you're a fit call. And the calls either go one of a couple of different ways. So one of the types of calls is, Michael, I mean, we're like dying here. So I just got off the phone with a franchise brand this afternoon. I won't name the brand, but she's like, we've got, what did she say, 25 current enrollments, capacity for 130, but break even is at 80. And so she's like, my loans are running out and all these things. And I took a step back and I said, okay, so what's the vision? Like, are you in this for, is it a money play? Is it you want to help families and kids? Like to kind of go back to that root, because her situation it's not going to magically change overnight. You're not just going to magically get 60 enrollments. I mean, I know you've done some unique exercises where you've manifested enrollments and things. So I'm not saying it can't happen, but when she kind of started going through all the reasons of why it won't happen, like it's a tough sell. And if you have that vision, that compelling vision that we've often talked about, that's going to help set everything else up. I mean, that's going to help allow you to kind of pivot, because when you're it's the same thing that's happened to me. If I'm so pigeonholed in something that's going on, like you kind of have your blinders on a little bit, and like you can't see. So like when you and I both serve childcare centers pretty much exclusively. And when all these centers started pausing and closing, like I had my blinders on. I'm like, well, all that we do is drive revenue. Well, we then had to pivot, because I started looking at how can we better serve other families. So, I mean, I'd encourage you, as you said, Julie, to kind of take a step back and maybe each morning spend 5 or 10 minutes reflecting on your vision. I call it that painted picture document, and just kind of reading it, because I found like when I close my eyes and I start visualizing it, that's when things just start coming, like random ideas. We've got an acquisition that I'm looking at that kind of manifested something that I've had. And it's nowhere near final yet. It's kind of in the starting phases, but it like came out from nowhere, and it's in alignment, and it's just like part of the plan. And you've got to be willing to adapt and change and pivot. But if you have that vision, that's the secret sauce.
And I think what you're saying is so important. And behind me, that's kind of like my mindset, my mindset play space. I've got my gel pens, I've got some books, I've got my journals, I've got some other materials that I'm studying. And then every morning, and maybe even several times a day, I turn my chair around and I go to that back table, and I'm just really digging into the mindset piece, because the mindset that you do things from is really going to empower you to bring a result to life or not. And I love what you're saying, Michael, too, because if you get so fixated on a thought, and that thought is like, oh, it's not going to work, or they're going to close us down, or what are they going to do to us now? And how am I going to do this? How am I going to pay my bills? You're not going to see the opportunities that are there for you and what you can create. So it's really important that you just go, oh, isn't this interesting? And I teach my clients this all the time. Isn't this interesting? And then you just kind of physically take a step back and go, what can I create? What can I do? And then it's really interesting when you take that mindset or shift your perspective to that, then that's when you see like a whole world of opportunities opening up for you. So I love that point that you were making. So watch your thoughts and really think about, am I getting too fixated on the how it has to happen? And is the how limiting me the ability to see the opportunity that is really there for me to grow and achieve greater levels of success in my life?
So I was just thinking, I know we talked about doing movies, and I know our topic for today is hiring.
Hiring.
But I'm going to throw a movie out here that
We could do movies. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Came to mind just as we were talking about.
I'm craving a movie night.
Yeah, I think I told you we built the timing was great. So we built a home theater in our basement. So hit the enter button, which apparently mutes me. I bought a really fun, I got to figure out how to use this thing for our show. So I bought this little guy here called Stream Deck. So it's got like all these buttons that I can like trigger them to like play sounds and like applause. And so I'm hoping I have this ready for our next show. So this just came in yesterday.
Oh, nice. We're going to get like some of that fake audience applause.
Yeah, so we can have like babies crying and applause and light bulbs and
all right,
all that fun stuff. So the movie that came to mind, I just literally watched it last night because my son plays baseball and he broke his thumb. And then we thought it was healed. And he's like, I want to play because you don't want to let the team down. And then he was telling me on Sunday that his thumb hurt again because he still played. And then we find out on Monday, well, his thumb is definitely broken. The doctor gave me a little scolding. He's like, all right, I was young once, but you got to not play for a couple of weeks. So we watched the movie Field of Dreams. I don't know if you've seen that movie or not.
Long time ago.
Yeah. So, it's Kevin Costner. The movie's from like the late 80s, I think like 1985, 88, 89, somewhere around there. But it's just about, having that vision of like the whole, if you build it and he will come. So it was just, he had this kind of mysterious voice that he heard one of these nights, and that was kind of what he heard. And it's all about, if you have the vision, you will get through this. And the centers that I'm seeing they're not focusing on, there's obviously there's some reality and you've got to be keeping an eye on your bills and money and things like that. But the centers that I'm seeing that are really starting to move in the right direction, they're thinking outside the box. They're looking at their vision. And if their vision was to have 10 centers over the next couple of years, maybe that pivots to, okay, great. Well, 10 centers, that means that we want to impact 150 families per center. We want to impact 1,500 families.
Yeah.
So what can we do to impact 1,500 families? Well, what if we were to do some at-home learning, or if we've got one center that they're pivoting to also offering pods, and they're doing these little pods at home in small groups. And I've seen another center that they kind of talked about how amazing their Montessori teachers are, and they've got like 30 years and they have their own curriculum. And I said, why don't you start filming the curriculum? And now they're streaming, and they're not only generating revenue and impact from the local region, but she's like, we've got people from Hawaii, like people all over that are now looking at their curriculum. So it's having that bigger vision. If you haven't seen Field of Dreams, I think
I'm going to watch it again.
Yeah, there's just a lot of, there's so many kind of nuggets, and then his wife is supporting him, and it's just, he had this vision for this whole baseball field, and things just kind of started kind of coming to light. But it's that vision that guided him. So.
It's so true. And I think, to me, a big piece of what I teach is the vision. And if you really get to a place where you can feel, and this is a big secret sauce, you could actually feel like your vision is alive, that's when you're really close to manifesting it. And I really believe that if your vision is strong enough, that there is no reason that every tool, every resource, whatever it might be that you need to support that vision and bring it to life, it's already here. It's already here. It's just a matter about stepping forward in the right direction, overcoming those limiting thoughts, and really thinking into your creative possibilities and your creative potential to tap into, what's next? And I'll bring this out. I was going to talk about a different movie, but I'll talk about this movie, Soul Surfer. Have you seen that one?
I have indeed.
Yeah, and that was about Bethany Hamilton, and I actually saw her on the media, and she was interviewed, and her story it's remarkable. She was a prodigy surfer girl. I mean, with this big vision, this big thing for what she was going to do, and then all of a sudden one day she's out there with her friends on her surfboard, and a shark comes up and he bites her left arm off right below the shoulder, so like right here, just gone, and I remember her being interviewed just weeks later by a journalist, and he says, well, Bethany, if you ever surf again. And right when he said the words if, she was like, stopped him dead in his tracks. She's like, oh, what do you mean if? She's like, it's not if, it's when. And then she went on to surf in a whole new and exciting way. And it was a very powerful film, because it's just like, right, there's not stopping because life looks different. It's just a continuation of it in a different form, right? Because she probably had her vision where she was up there with 4 arms surfing. They even try to give her a prosthetic, and she's just like, this just doesn't feel like it's me. But one of the most powerful things in the movie was when Bethany and her father were sitting by the ocean after they won some competitions, and she's like, well, what's next? What do I do next? And his words to her were, just listen. And it wasn't just listen to him. It wasn't listen to your coach. It was listen to yourself from within, or listen to the universe, or spiritual perspective. Listen to God, whatever it might be, but just listen. And that next best step is going to be revealed to you. And I really, really think that there's a lot of power in that.
Love it. Yeah, one of my first clients and also life coaches is a gentleman named Matthew Ferry. And okay. He had a phrase that he used all the time, and he had a course around it called inspired action. And that's kind of something that's always in the back of my mind.
So my words, yeah.
Just you're taking actions that inspire you and move you in the right direction. And that's just been something that I've just been thinking about constantly the last couple of weeks, because like a lot of you listening, I mean, almost there's very few businesses that I know across the US or the world that haven't been impacted in some way. Like the only businesses maybe are like businesses that are doing sanitation and cleaning and selling masks. I mean, all these, they're taking some kind of hit, or just something that has had to change. So, I mean, we're all in this in the same boat, but you've got to look at that vision of, what do you start looking out 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, and that will start to guide your actions now.
Yeah.
So that you can wind up on the other side.
And watch your thoughts in the process, because one thing I know is true is that the more your head is clouded with thoughts of scarcity, thoughts of lack, negative thoughts, what you feel, thoughts of judgment on yourself and over others, the less you're really going to be able to hear what your next steps are. So from within inside of yourself. So it's going to get really clouded by all of these other thoughts. So it's really important. And I'll tell my clients, try not to think any thoughts as opposed to thinking negative thoughts, because those will cloud the direction that you need to take to get those transformational results.
I love it. So we've already shared a couple of good movies, shared some good stuff already. So I know that our topic for today was hiring. And I'd love to have a little bit of back and forth with you on hiring.
I'd love it too.
I think it'd be fun to kind of look at an ad or two as well, and kind of hopefully that one of these centers isn't listening. But
or maybe
if you are,
be like, let's go.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Right? That's the other thing. Is,
yeah, because people often ask me, can you just rewrite my ad? Can you rewrite my ad? Can you rewrite my ad? And I'm like, okay, there's a little bit of a process to it.
Definitely. So what are you seeing out there? I mean, what are you seeing? What are you hearing from the centers that you're working with? I mean, the conversation a month or two ago was a lot of centers were worried that they wouldn't be able to get or attract people back with all the unemployment stuff and that extra $600 and all that craziness. I'm seeing a lot of the return back to the workforce, a lot less nervousness of COVID and just kind of how things are going. And I think a lot of people are wanting to kind of get back to normal. And a lot of these team members and teachers and directors, I mean, they're definitely looking to you, the owners, to see, I mean, what are you feeling? How are you? I never realized it I mean, I've realized it, but I've never paid attention to trying to manage my energy in front of my team. And I don't know, like I'm very transparent and blunt and got a dry sense of humor at many times. So we have a team call every Monday at 11. And I didn't realize that on Zoom, so we'll have the whole team on there and there's 20 plus people. And I didn't realize that I think a lot of people were clicking on my camera to kind of, even though someone else is speaking, they were kind of watching my tone and am I rolling my eyes? Am I excited? And kind of playing off of my energy. So not sure where I was headed with that, but I think it was just to kind of tie in that a lot of people are looking to you, the owners, to kind of get a pulse and to have that confidence to come back.
And they always are, during this time and even before. And I'll use examples during my training that it's kind of like you walk in through those doors in the morning and the spotlight is on you. Well, you turn on your Zoom camera and guess what? You are the movie star. So it is true that it's like all eyes are on you. And most owners and directors don't even realize how powerful their energy is and how powerful of a presence theirs is. And it does set the tone. And they said even with, animal behaviors or with children, we're showing that we're nervous, we're scared. It's just going to lead to more nervousness and more feelings of being scared. So it's so true that the energy that you're projecting is incredibly important. The spotlight is on you and all eyes are on you, which is a good thing, as long as you're projecting the right energy.
Love it.
But what I'm seeing in terms, we're seeing a couple different things. So it just really depends upon the situation that each childcare program is in. So if you have to go at reduced capacity, it's one scenario where we're having enough staff, but we also have to look at the before picture. So let's say we have 10% of our staff who we would say, these are our dreamy staff, Julie. These are our wonderful people. Those percentages probably haven't changed. We probably haven't weeded all the bad people or the lower team players out. So we probably still have a pretty good mixture of people who were like, oh, that one's still gossiping and that one's doing this. So we meet with our clients regularly, especially in our mentorship, and we do different mastery calls to really deal with challenging behaviors that staff are bringing into the workplace. But I think it's a really great time to just network with everybody who's working in childcare, all the teachers, all the directors out there, and get them knowing you, because then you're going to have your pick when a spot or an opportunity does open up. It's going to be like, oh, wait a second. I know, 20 people out there. I have no fear around replacing this person if it doesn't work out. And that's why a lot of us get stuck, because we're just feeling fear and feeling that there's scarcity, or we're feeling, some lack in another part of the process.
No, that makes complete sense.
Yeah. And if you're here watching us, shoot your questions through if you've got any. And even if you tune into the replay, let me know what your questions are regarding hiring, and I'm happy to answer them. So, so the big thing is to really look at your team and say, all right, how many of these team members in an ideal world would I want to replace? And if you get really honest about it, and I'll ask people that question, a lot of times it's like, well, wait a second, I've got, a full staff, but now if you were telling me I had to pick up anybody I wanted, I would probably replace 25% or 50% or 75% or all of them. So that's really what you want to be looking at and getting a good, honest look at, well, how many do I ideally want to replace?
And what I've been doing is just the last couple of weeks, and I'm always doing it, but really the last couple of weeks, because I've noticed that my energy hasn't been as great as I would like it to be. And I'm not I guess my day is owning me versus the other way around. And a lot of it has to do with energy, and some of it has to do with kind of how I'm breaking some of my routines. And some days I'm doing the gratitude journal, some days I'm not. So I'm still, my ADD still often gets the better of me. But one of the things that I've really been looking at, and if you don't have core values for your business, for your center, I highly encourage you to go through that exercise. And there's a lot of great articles to read. There's lots of different formulas as to how you can create them. But one of the things that I heard, and I kept hearing it for years and years and years. I used to be in a group called EO Entrepreneurs Organization, a bunch of entrepreneurs with successful businesses. And one of the big benefits of that group is that minimum 8 times a year, they would bring in a speaker, and they would bring it in just to the local group. So like our group of EO Western New York had, at the time, it was really small, like 25 people. And these were people, they were all paid. So they weren't like, I don't know, I guess, let's say second-rate speakers, but speakers that didn't have a hidden agenda. Like they were getting paid a few $1,000s plus travel. So they had to put on a good performance rather than just speaking in lieu of, hey, I'll give a 20-minute commercial. So I kept hearing, like, for 2 years, culture, core values. And if you don't have that nailed, your culture is by default, not by design. And the first time I tried to do it, I just slapped things down that I thought made sense. And they were so generic. They were so terrible. Like, gosh, I should try having blanking for a second, but I wouldn't say be authentic is terrible, but they were things that like a lot of businesses would say, like, have
responsible.
Yeah, responsible, caring. We operate with integrity. We're transparent, like things that are, we're results driven. Like every one of their cousin is saying the same kind of stuff. So we have redid our core values 4 times. I just finished this exercise a couple of months ago, and I realized that I did it again. That even the core values that we had a third time, they were like half the way there. And I got on a meeting with my team, and I'm like, how many of these do we think we're living? How many of these actually fit our business? How many of these do we want to fit our business? And kind of started whittling away and kind of finally got back down to the core. But I wanted to share all this because for me, and I know I'll share my screen in a second, we can look at some of these ads. For me, I've been hiring and firing a lot more based on culture fit than I ever have before. And looking at, I mean, obviously there's certain credentials that you need depending on your center, and there's certain things that you need. However, I mean, if let's say you're hiring for something that doesn't necessarily need a formal degree, and you're looking for maybe, let's say, a cook or a chef or someone to do all the meals at your center or multiple centers, and they're going to be putting the meals together and the menus and all that kind of stuff. So you could look at hiring someone who's been doing that for years and years and years. And maybe your culture is just, I guess, play with me for a second here. Maybe like your culture is fun and playful and upbeat. And you find someone that they're like this 5-star chef. They used to work in, I don't know, Michelin star restaurants. You're like, oh my gosh, this person is perfect from a skill standpoint. But then if you start looking at the other layers of the onion, is this Michelin star chef that every little detail has to be perfect? How are they going to do when there's screaming kids all around? And if someone bumps in and you start to think, like, how are they going to act in that environment? And I'd rather hire a mom that has a couple of kids that enjoys cooking on the side, and she's fun and playful, and you can train on most of those things. So like you want to be around people that I know Julia said you want to attract. I mean, those dreamy team members, you want people that you want to be around, and people that are going to see your vision, and they're going to, like one of our centers, they've got their 4 locations, opening a 5th, and then their plan is to have an additional 10. And they're so focused on the vision, but their team is so bought in on everything. And like, even when things are challenging and tough, they're like, we're revising our goals. We've got huge goals for the rest of the year. You might think they're too big to hit, but let's kind of rally. And you can just feel the buy-in, because I've sat in on some of their meetings that like their team they're all in. Like they're there. They're for the culture. They're there for the vision. They're there for the owner. They're there for the kids.
Yeah. And that's so important. And I love what you're sharing. And values, to me, values drive the behaviors in your organization. Values really give people a guideline in terms of how do I behave and what's good and what's not good. And there's different exercises that we go through with our clients to help them develop those core values. But then even when you look at your help wanted ads or what you're putting out there about, your vision, those values should be tightly woven in to where it really projects the kind of culture that you're offering someone to be a part of. And that's where it can get really exciting in doing this work is to look at these values. And, a lot of times with values, and I know where we get hung up a lot with the owners who I work with, it's like we have these values that are instilled with us from our upbringing, right? Mom and dad said, be nice. Mom and dad said, don't make waves. Mom and dad said this and this, and we all have them, right? It's the way that we were brought up. The problem becomes when we carry those values, those old values, into the work that we're doing now, because those old values that somebody taught us as a child growing up typically will not lead to success in our childcare programs. So it's really important to understand, why are these values important to me? And are these values that we're defining here going to drive our success, or are they going to inhibit it? So these values really get us closer to our vision coming to life. So values is really a little bit of a tricky area, because we bring so much of the values that we have deep rooted in our heart from our upbringing. And some will get us more success, some won't. So it's really important to identify which ones will and which ones won't. And this can vary by person too. Fun might get somebody closer to success with their vision, and it might deter somebody else from being closer to their vision, depending upon how you define the word fun. And even family-like, that's another big one. We're like a family. Well, that's one word to really take a look at and say, well, what is it about family that you want to be like? So is that really a core value, or is that just something that you're bringing with you because you feel it's like what you should do because you're working with children and changing the future? So look at your values very carefully.
So I'm going to, I think it's a good pivot to, let's look at a couple of ads and give a little bit of feedback.
Right.
We're not necessarily going to write an ad from scratch by any means, but kind of give a little bit of kind of reaction here. So let's go to this one. All right, is the screen sharing okay?
It is. Let me see. I might have to blow up my screen, or let me see here. How can I get you bigger? Yeah. You know what? Yeah, the screen's not going up much, but let me see here.
Well, I guess the other thing is we're
in the studio.
You're looking at it on the view that you and I are seeing versus as a.
I can hop over to Facebook.
Okay, so go to Indeed.
Oh wait, I'm gonna go. I'll see if I could see it just in the video that we're doing. Right, I should be able to go right.
Yeah, you can see it there also. I just want to make sure we don't get an echo or anything. But I'll start while you're pulling that up. I'll kind of. I guess we're. All right. So I just Googled on Indeed childcare teacher and picked one of my favorite cities, Orlando. Let me know if you could see it, Julie.
It's getting better.
All right. So I just clicked on the first one that's here. So childcare teachers. So seeking Christian infant, toddler, and preschool teachers. So they talk a little about Children's Academy at Lock Haven. I was looking for self-directed, flexible, loving early childhood educators with strong Christian values. Can you see this ad?
I'm struggling a little bit here.
All right, let me do this.
I'm going to go back here. I had it and I lost it.
I'm going to send you the link. So click on the little top on the private chat link. So they talk. You want to make sure exit out of our other one so you're not hearing that echo.
Yep. Okay.
I just sent you one of the links in the private chat. So if you want to bring that one up, and then I'll reshare screens.
Okay, great.
Let me know when you're ready.
See, and this is how we roll sometimes. We're just playing with the
technology. Otherwise, it'd look too scripted. So
which we're not.
Do it live and in the moment.
Yeah. Okay. So now I've got it up here.
Perfect. All right. So I'm going to reshare my screen here. So you can just look at your other window. So we'll go like this, share screen, Chrome. All right. Can you see the ad that says childcare teachers?
I can.
So what's jumping out at you from this ad? So I'm not going to obviously read the ad verbatim. You got, I mean, school pays half medical for full-time employees. We network with Advent Healthcare. We've got a typo here. So you've got the list of the benefits. Okay, great. Schedule 8-hour shift, day shift, Monday through Friday. I like that they have some stuff around COVID. So we've got a nurse on staff, disinfect all common areas, all staff required to wear a mask. Okay. You've got the level of experience, one location. Job is ideal for someone who's dependable, adaptable, high stress tolerance. That's interesting. And then this job is a job for all ages. So I'm not an expert on legalities, but I know you cannot call out age in jobs. So you can't say, I mean, including older job seekers. Right. So that's a little bit of a faux pas. Full-time, can't work remotely. Here's the company's Facebook page. So what is your gut reaction, or what do you think about this?
Well, yeah. So to me, this company's probably, or this organization probably does like a lot of people do who are hiring, and you take an ad that has worked for you before, or maybe it hasn't worked, and you just kind of take it, you grab it, and you put it up. And then you add in a couple of different pieces that are needed in today's world. So to me, it doesn't jump out at me in any way. And this is, and you know, it's the same for marketing as with your help wanted ads. And if you read this ad and it doesn't generate any feelings of enthusiasm, of excitement, of like, wow, that's for me and I gotta go apply, then the ad is not effective. So whenever we're looking and reviewing ads, I always want to ask my client, how's the ad doing for you? Are you getting good people that are really your dreamy people in mind? But you've got to start off with, what do our dreamy people look like? You know, what's the vision for who I want to work for me? And does this ad pull those people into me? So when I look at this, it just kind of looks like I could take this ad, take the neighbor's ad, take the neighbor's ad down the road from them, look at all of them, and they pretty much are saying the same thing, except maybe this one's Christian, they've got a nurse on site. Okay, cool. But there's nothing that really pulls me into it.
So I clicked on, if you want to click on the next one, it says VPK lead teacher. So I clicked on that one. So a few things that jump out for me at this particular ad. So first thing is urgently hiring. I'm never a fan of displaying that I'm urgent.
Please come work for us.
It's like you're begging people. They know you're in a tough spot.
Yes.
I mean, whether this is a good pay range for that area for a lead teacher, I'm not sure. It doesn't look amazing to me by any means, but urgently hiring, that is kind of step one, or issue number one, rather, that is jumping out.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just nothing. It's all, I mean, you must be fun and energetic. If you feel you'd be an asset, call us or come in for an interview. You're talking about looking to hire ASAP again. I mean, the only thing, the company describes its culture as team oriented, cooperative and collaborative. So as Julie said, I mean, what's different? I mean, kids are kids. So, I mean, what are the emotions? I mean, this is a franchised brand. So
absolutely,
I'm sure there are some other emotions and elements and things like that you could play off of. But why would I want to jump off the sidelines? What's going to get me excited? What's exactly, as Julie said, other than you need someone urgently. So what this is going to attract are people that they also need a job urgently because they can't pay their bills.
Yeah, maybe they're going to ask you for that paycheck a week in advance because they need some money.
Exactly.
But with these ads, you know, to me, it's always about looking at the energy behind the ad. From what energetic place was this ad written? And typically most of our ads are written from a place of fear or desperation. And when we bring our ad to life from a place of fear or desperation, it typically produces fearful and desperate results. So what we really want to do is shift your energy. If you're going through any exercises with me, we shift your energy before you write an ad, and then we put pen to paper and we get this most amazing ad. And we even have team members writing these ads where it's like, wow, that's a fantastic ad. But if we're looking at the pay and you just want people to price shop, same thing with marketing, right? If you just want people to price shop, go ahead and put that out there and say, yep, okay, $13 an hour, yep, $12. And that's not even the most motivating thing to these people. You know, a lot of people are looking for a change. They're looking for a supervisor who's going to listen. So you've really got to plug into your people and know, well, what is it that people are looking for? What is their pain point? And then use that to pull the right people in to you.
So I pulled up while we were talking, there's a tool that I've used in the past more for writing copy, but it's called Copyscape.
Okay.
And the interesting thing is, I mean, like, so I clicked on the third ad, or I think actually I'm on a assistant director. I clicked on a different one. But one of the things that, and I'll send you this link. Hold on, Julie. So I go to this one. I'm going to send it to you on the private area again. Share screen. Get back to this tab.
This is fun.
Yeah. So this one. So this one I just did childcare director. So even before, I want to just show one thing. So even before I look at this ad, and you can tell that it's boilerplate. One of the number one things that stands out to me is this right here. I know you can't see my screen, but the rating, they've got 3 stars out of 5 and 21 reviews. So the team is going to, people are going to click on that. So now I'm on that screen, and the first thing, 3.0, great place to work if you do not have a degree. So this place is for people who have little to no employment and can work with children. And you just start to go down, and I mean, pay and benefits have a 2.5. There's no advancement. So you're already operating with a disservice. And similar to the other ad, I mean, the first ad here, I mean, it's saying sign-on bonus, which is nice, again, if you're pulling for the cash, but you're talking about ratios, you're talking about the benefits, you're talking about qualifications, responsibilities. I mean, nowhere in here does it talk about the culture, the type of team, the environment you're going to be in, that the owner is active in the business, that you have company retreats, that you have huddles, that there's nothing in this particular ad that it's again, boilerplate to, as I continue to go down most of these, it's going to be similar stuff at each of these.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And here's the thing, and all those are very true, but with this ad specifically, you know, if you're operating at a lower star and you've got 21 reviews, 3 stars, you know, that's okay, but there's probably some stuff that can be changed. You know, so to me, with an ad like this, why not be totally transparent and say, do you get a thrill out of transforming workplaces and delivering amazing customer service? If so, we need you. You know, so you could be transparent. So where somebody who's got the skills to help you take it to the next level will be attracted to come and work to you, because otherwise you can look at this ad, and this is where I caution everybody. You look at this ad and they're like, oh, this is what the environment is like. It's dull, drab, boring. And I don't know this program, so I'm just making some general statements here. But it's dull, drab, it's boring, it's this. So people are going to put their own judgment over this ad and what they think it's going to be like. And they're like, nothing special. And the ad really is nothing special. But you get to that place where you're thinking that, and you might even be thinking like, well, are they open for changing? Do they want things to be better? Are they looking for different? So, I mean, you could really pull people in who could help you take things to a whole new level by attracting people with those skills. But if we're putting out there, the first thing is the carrot to say, oh, here's all the gold and riches that we're promising you. You're just going to be looking for somebody who's like, okay, I need a job and that money will pay my bills.
Exactly.
We want more than that. And I tell you what, if you've got a big vision and your vision is on fire, you deserve more than that. And you are going to attract more than that.
Love it. I'll turn off screen share. I was just reading this other one that this is actually a local center called Doodlebugs. And I think they've got some things that are, I think, a little bit better in this ad than most. So they say, we're Doodlebugs, a Doodlebugs Children's Learning Center franchise. We're a local family-run business looking for kind, joyful people who enjoy working with children. We treat all employees with dignity and respect and foster a positive work environment. In short, we care. So I'm happy that they're starting off with something a little bit like that. Mm-hmm. But when I start to read all that, like administrative, I mean, one of the things that jump at report all incidents to center director. Like there's an insane amount of things that they're looking for here.
So like, here's our policy and procedure book right here in the ad.
Exactly. So like they're looking, I mean, the pay is $32,000 to $35,000. So, I mean, it's not terrible. It's not amazing. But they're I mean, ensure that Bravo curriculum is appropriately implemented daily, ensure that the center is consistently safe, clean, organized. So it's overwhelming. And again, it to your point, and I'll turn off screen share, go back to our smiling faces. Let's see, go back to that one there. Perfect. There's no emotion to it.
Yeah.
You've got to bring people in. You've got to get that emotional aspect.
Yeah, my passion for ads began. I was an executive recruiter for a Fortune 500 company, and I would, look at the ads that were written before, and I would really try to put a creative spin on the different ads that we were writing. And we had some of the highest retention rate for some of the lowest paid jobs that we would hire into. And that was really cool because people would call me up for the interview or talk to me and be like, oh my goodness, that ad just spoke to me. And that's what you want. You want to do that with your marketing materials. You want to do that with your help wanted ads. You want to speak to people's hearts. It's not about salary, $32,000. Hours are between this time and this time. And yes, the job is incredibly stressful. And if you get sick and die, we have a nurse right here on site for you. It's not about that. It's about, do people feel like they're going to be a part of something big? And one of my clients, Mary, we restructured her whole hiring process. And she had her director come in, interview, took the job, and she's like, well, why did you take this job? And she's like, never, ever did I go through an interview process as extensive as this, and an interview process that left me in tears because of how much I wanted to be a part of the vision. And that's a process that you take people through from start to end. And to me, one of the starting places is your ad. And some people are like, oh, the ad's not that important. Yeah, if your ad sucks, guess what? You're probably not going to get that many people. And if your energy behind the ad, that's the most important thing to me, is not there, and you're not excited about it, you read it, and here's the test. Read your ad. Read your ad. And on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like enthusiasm through the freaking roof, where is your meter? Is it at a 5? Is it at a 6? Is it a 7? Or are you there at a 10? And if you're not at a 10, that shows you that there's some work that you can do. And we've even had clients who have some fantastic ads, but they wanted to shift their energy. So we worked through some exercises. They changed the ad, and they weren't getting any responses. And then the next thing you know, 9 applicants over the weekend. So the energy behind the ad is crazy important. And what the ad says and how it pulls people in is a first to attracting the right people.
I think that's all great information. And I've got some good some good comments rather. Thanks to the great video, great advice, great info. So happy to see that and happy to hear that.
Good.
One little small nugget that is more tactical. I personally do this all the time. If you think you're going to get a lot of applicants, so maybe if it's a front desk or an admin type of position, like if you're posting on Indeed, you're going to have people that have an itchy trigger finger that just apply everything.
And someday I'm sure there'll be a bot where people can apply to 100 jobs at a time.
Oh, definitely. So what we like to do is we will bury something in the ad. And usually it's as attention to detail as something that we're looking for, which I know is generic, but and then we'll turn that volume off. We'll say reply with this email and respond with the word cupcake or whatever it is. And that one little thing will instantly eliminate 90 to 95% of the applicants. So we're hiring another position as we speak that I'm sure because it's a remote position, and we'll get, last time we did this position, we had 400 applicants in 3 days. But of those 400, I would say we just started scanning, and 350 plus did not use the keyword, and we literally just deleted. If they're not even willing to sit and read the ad, the copy, what makes you think that they're going to read your handbooks, they're going to listen to your policies, that if they can't take 5 minutes to see if they are aligned, that also tells me that they might not necessarily be desperate. However, they are not in the spot of the type of energy that you want to attract. You want people that read it, they're like, I resonate with this. And to your point, I mean, when you have that kind of ad, I mean, that's the magical stuff that can happen is you bring in people that, I mean, similar to what you mentioned. I mean, I've had people that have came in that have done all their due diligence and their homework, and they're like, don't really even care about the salary. I want to be a part of this because I
Right.
read the core values in your website. Often we'll send them the painted picture. I've read your painted picture of where the company's headed, and I want to be a part of that. And that's the kind of energy, the type of people that you want to attract. Even if it's, you want to have just one location that you want to just deliver, I mean, an amazing experience for these families that you want to help. I mean, these kids, I mean, have wonderful life. Like it's doesn't matter. You don't have to say, well, my vision's to have 50 centers and franchise or anything like that. It's the vision that it's, I mean, individualized and important to you. And the words that are going to be, I mean, maybe part of your vision is that you want to have, I mean, a home cooked meal every Friday with your team or something. I mean, there's so many fun and unique things that you can do that help you live a more fulfilling life, that help you financially, and then you're helping everyone else in return. I mean, providing jobs and helping the economy. I mean, it's the backbone of everything. I mean, local businesses, that's what's going to continue to help recover the economy. And you just play such an important role. And as Julie's clothing line will attest, I mean, you're always essential. I mean, you are providing an essential service.
Yeah. I got a t-shirt. Who wants one? Oh, if you're here tuning in and you want a t-shirt, just put t-shirt in the comment and I'll pick a winner and I'm going to send you a t-shirt. And you can pick any t-shirt you want from the line.
Is that a new design? I haven't seen that one yet.
No, this one's been around. This one's one of my favorites. So this was one of our first original 4 designs.
I love it.
Yeah. And the cool thing is we're doing t-shirt Tuesdays too, where we're taking like $10 off a t-shirt. And then on Mondays, we did Muggalicious Mondays. So we gave out, like in our Chalk Our Business Success group, we gave away 10 free mugs. So that was pretty cool.
Those mugs are awesome.
Yeah. I don't have one yet, but I want to get one. And then we have our whole Love Is collection as well. But it's just a fun line. But going back to hiring, you know, when it comes to culture, I'm surprised that you didn't say that you like fresh baked blueberry muffins. And I was also wondering if anybody's ever called you Cupcake during the interview on accident.
They're even so when I was Jessica Marie is the first one to respond t-shirt. So we have t-shirt. She time stamped as number 1. Thank you everyone for playing that. What was I going to say? Like when I was hiring for an assistant, like and I wear it with pride. Like I have, I mean, ADD, and I have a hard time concentrating for more than a little bit of time. I'm like, I need someone that is like insane with details. And then all these people apply with these fancy resumes. And I didn't reply to everyone because I didn't have time, but I'm like, I replied to the first 5. I'm like, unfortunately, you're not moving to the next stage.
Yeah. And
the reason is you didn't read the listing, because right next to attention to detail, we use a different keyword every time. That one I think was, usually it's food items. It's like watermelon. Maybe it's whatever food I'm craving that day. Like you had the stellar resume. You were like the executive assistant to a CEO, but how can I know that you're going to have attention to detail if you couldn't even spend 5 minutes reading?
Exactly. You know, and I highly recommend a multi-layered approach to hiring. And there's so many different steps that you can work in. So a lot of our clients, once they start getting the applicants in, they get an email with a list of questions, and there's several different questions in there that they respond then with email. And then that helps weed people out too. So we get them to take the next action step. And we know that if people take action step number 1, they said Cupcake, number 2, they're responding to the email questions, number 3, number 4, number 5, we're like, we've got a pretty good candidate here. You know, the problem is that when you put out a help wanted ad and you get 1 person responding, then it's like, what else do I have to do? Maybe I have to tell them that I'm going to give them a cupcake when they come in, right? So the mindset starts slipping a little bit. But always keep yourself in the driver's seat. Know that you are in control, and know that if you're only getting 1 applicant in, man, that can totally change. And we've changed it overnight. And we have people who, you know, some of the biggest challenges that I hear about are not getting any job candidates. And then there's getting job candidates, but they get the job candidates and then they don't show up for interviews. Or if they do show up for the interview, hallelujah, and we employ them, then it's like they last a week or 2. So you've got to recognize your own repeating patterns with hiring. Where does the dysfunction kick in terms of the people who you're attracting? And then what we do is we structure personalized interview questions and interview questions that are part of the hiring process to really weed these people out so that you get your own dysfunction out of the way in terms of who you're hiring. Because we do, and this is one thing I see a lot, is we're hiring the same kind of people, and it might be an owner who says, Julie, but that's just us. We hire needy staff. We hire gossipy people. We hire people who don't want to do more than their fair share of the work. We hire drama queens. That's just who we get, and we could be like that. Or we could, like I said, put ourselves back in the driver's seat and say, you know what? I'm going to start attracting a whole different kind of person.
Love it.
Yeah.
Some great content today. Some really, really good content. And I love when we go back and forth. And I love that we do it on the fly. So Julie and I, we do very, very little prep. We do this all day, every day with childcare centers. I help on the marketing side with centers at Local Childcare Marketing. Julie helps on consulting, with staffing, with vision, more on the coaching and consulting and
mindset.
Yeah. So over at Childcare Business Success. So as always, if we can help you, reach out. This is a tough game to go at it alone. We've both produced amazing results for the centers that we've worked with. So
yeah, and a lot of times I think it's a pride thing too, where people are like, oh, I could do this. Or I've been doing this for 30 years. I should be able to figure this out. But you've got to remember, even people like Oprah Winfrey have coaches. They have strategists. Michael and I both have people who we use and who we turn to. So it is like a success enhancement to have somebody else be a part of your team or to strategize with somebody else. And I'm not a huge sports person. You're probably more of a sports buff than I am. I know my boyfriend's crazy sports. But, even basketball players, they have several coaches. They're training them physically. They're training them mentally, whatever it might be. So reach out. And if a message resonates with you, say, yeah, I just got to get on the phone and get myself a strategy session booked or discovery call booked to see if this might be something that's in line with what I need.
Love it.
Don't go it alone. We're too pain tolerant in this.
Yeah, and it's, I'll throw one more thing. And then if you want to find a quote to end us with today, and as always, we're back once a week. So we're here Wednesdays at 1:00 Central, 2:00 Eastern. I'm doing a ton of these intro calls, and had a couple that I'm like, this center needs our help. So we sent a proposal. And it seems like the last week or two, I'm getting a lot of, we're going to try something on our own, or we're going to wait and see what happens. And we're not a hard sell. So we keep them on a nurture sequence. But you've got to, here's the one thing I want you to think about. What is not hiring help costing you? So if you're going to wait, what happens if something doesn't change in 2 weeks? Yeah. And when you really start to do the math, and you really start to think about it. So even we'll take my business and then we'll take Julie's and just in general concepts. So if I help you drive 5 enrollments, for example, and your tuition's low side, $600, $800, whatever, even if it's $600 a month or $500, 5 enrollments, $2,500 a month. As long as you've got a good curriculum, they should be staying for 2 years, 3 years, even more. Even if they stay for 1 year, that one enrollment times then 5, it's worth $25,000 a year. So if you then start to look at the compounding effect, and there's a great book, I believe Darren Hardy wrote it at Success Magazine on the compounding effect.
Love Success.
And it's just like, it's the same thing. So if Julie is helping you with coaching, for example, and like, well, I'm going to try and hire someone from Indeed on my own and try the same way that we're doing it, and you end up hiring someone that it's not a great fit. Well, what is that costing you? And I've seen some centers where the director leaves, they lose 50% of their enrollments because the director is disengaged and is kind of borderline, what's the word? Not belligerent, but subordinate, I think is the word. Like they're
like insubordinate.
Yeah, like they're like saying, hey, don't even, like they're doing tours and they're botching the tours. They're saying that they don't love it here. And I've seen that time and time again. And
yeah, me too.
It's just, you've got to look at the opportunity cost, the compounding effects. And this is not meant to be a big commercial for Julie and I. It's more of you're not the expert in everything. Like,
Yeah.
I want you to play in your lane, have the big vision, work on motivating your staff and finding opportunities. And I love working with center owners that they're seeing the opportunity right now to acquire childcare centers. This is going to be one of the best times if you want to acquire centers. Just got off the phone with one yesterday. They've got 3 or 4 locations. They've got offers and on 4 more. They've got that mindset, but he's like, I can't do the marketing. Like, how can I be buying locations and doing acquisitions and managing the staff and doing the marketing? So play to your strengths, but just look at when you're making a decision on anything, what's the opportunity cost of not making that decision? Or if it's that whole, well, I'll wait a little bit and kind of see what happens. And I'll see if I can get us full. Well,
Yeah.
what if you were to get full 6 months earlier?
That's powerful. And that is so true. And there's so many different things that go into what it really costs you. Even think about your own time, your own stress, your own health. I don't know about you, Michael, but sometimes when I hear about the crazy stress our owners are going through, and some's taking a big toll. Some of our owners get really sick because it's just like you're taking on so much. So there's so many different factors that can come into play when it comes to looking at the cost of trying to figure it out by yourself. Maybe it's making mistakes and what those mistakes cost you, or if somebody leaves, what those people, and even just one general stat that's out there in the world of hiring is that when one person leaves, it costs you like 30% of what you would pay them on an annual basis for your cost of turnover. So you kind of calculate that, especially if you're training them and retraining them, motivating, remotivating, placing ads. It's like exhausting. And I surveyed all of my audiences, my leadership audiences at one point, and I would ask them, how much of your time, on a weekly basis are you spending trying to hire staff and manage staff and motivate staff and doing all these things? And some of the percentages were like 160% of my time, because it's not just work time, it's my home time I'm sacrificing. And that's big.
Gotta make some moves. Like now it is like, this is game time.
Yeah.
This is game time.
Absolutely.
Do you have a quote to leave us on?
I
This
do.
is a great show. So I'm going to let Julie leave us with a quote, and then we look forward to seeing you back here next week. Like it, share it. If Julie or myself can help, we are here at your service. While Julie's doing the quote, I'll throw both of our URLs up here.
Yeah. And leave your comments for us as well, whether you're tuning in live or to the replay. So the quote that I'll leave you with, years ago, I had the immense pleasure of interviewing Dennis Viskers, who deals a lot with staff issues. And he said something that has just always stuck with me. Actually, he said a couple of things, but one is hire slow, fire fast. And really think about that. If you have somebody who's not working out, how much time do you want this person to cost you? So they're not working out. We have people, it's like they hung on to somebody for 4 years, for 5 years, for 6 years, hoping that they're going to change. And it's hundreds of thousands of dollars that go into that one situation. So hire slow and fire fast.
Love it. Have an incredible rest of your weekend, and we will see you back here.
See you next Wednesday. Bye, everyone.
Bye.